All right. So we were on this slide, we spoke of the ocean and the waves, and that waves are not the ocean, but they are in the ocean. The ocean can exist without waves, but waves cannot exist without the ocean. Okay, correct? Waves cannot exist without the ocean. They just appear in the ocean. Every wave dissolves in the ocean, isn't it? The purpose a wave rises and the life cycle of the wave is to dissolve into the ocean, correct? Similarly, every human being is born and its purpose is to dissolve back into existence. So, when I asked people, does liberation mean anything to you? Do you want liberation? See, it's not a mental decision that we take. Some of us do because of whatever knowledge or understanding or whatever we have come into. Buddha took that. Gautam Siddharth took a decision. I want liberation. I want freedom from all this suffering. What's the point of life if there is so much suffering? But this is the natural life cycle of a human being, whether you like it or you don't like it. Every human being longs for liberation. This is a coding, a software coding that every human being comes with. So, this is an important thing to understand and remember as we go further. So, liberation is not something like, oh, I will decide if I want to be liberated or not. The very fact that you want to be happy and you find pleasures and joys in certain things is a reflection of a certain longing in you which gets fulfilled. You know, good food, travel, company of friends, these things bring pleasures and joy. But that satisfaction which is happening at a level, to an aspect of our being which will never be satisfied with just this much, this much, this much. It wants more and more. We are never fulfilled, isn't it? The only thing which brings that fulfillment is with this sense of freedom, this liberation that happens. Okay, so this is something which I wanted to reiterate. Hello. All right. Now, all right. Now the next shloka. This is a very very important shloka. This no, not this one. The 2.16. We'll come into it. Okay. So this one. Uh, O son of Kunti, the contact between the senses and the sense objects gives rise to fleeting perceptions of happiness and distress. This is happening to all of us. Sense object, I see a beautiful scenery. My eyes are the senses. The object is the scenery, and pleasure rises in me. Oh, what a beautiful sunrise. Oh, what a beautiful sunset. The interaction of senses and the sense object is creating the so matra sparsha. Matra means measure, sparsha is touch. So this is measuring. Your eyes are measuring uh, that scenery, and therefore a certain sense of happiness, pleasure, or on the contrary, you see a sight which is unseemly and it creates distress or it creates unpleasantness in us. So, matra sparsha, fleeting perceptions of happiness and distress happen. These are non permanent and come and go like the winter and summer seasons. O descendant of Bharat. So, another way of addressing Arjun as descendant of Bharat, again appealing to the Kshatriya in him. One must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed. Titikshasva. This word titiksha is very important when I studied with my teacher Manoj. So this is one of the things that we can learn from, this shloka in the Bhagavad Gita. So see, happiness and sadness will come and go. Pleasantness and unpleasantness happens in life. So one needs to also build titiksha. So when it's happiness, we everything is good, we have no problem. But when unpleasant situations happen, we just want to get rid of it. Aversion, one of the kleshas that we spoke of in Yoga Sutras. So what should you do when unpleasant situations happen? Build titiksha. It means build patience and courage. It does not mean having a resigned attitude to life, but having the capacity to absorb. So Sri Ravi Shankar in his commentary, he says, when such situations come, you simply say welcome, stay, and they will also go, because everything goes. Everything is impermanent in this world. So do so so be accepting of them, welcome them, let them stay, let them do what they have to do, and they will go. So that is an important thing to remember, to build this tolerance, this patience, titiksha. Okay. Now, now see, there is something. So what to do with it? Now, happiness and sadness belongs to the world. It belongs to samsara. But there is something which is beyond happiness and sadness, which is bliss. That is the state of transcendence. That is the state that Krishna is. That is the state in which many mystics and realized beings are in. So, if you are the kind of person who is always seeking pleasures and happiness, I only want happiness. Most of us are like that. I want to get rid of all this pain and unpleasantness in life. Um, if you classify pleasures as happiness, then be sure that unpleasantness and pain will also come to you, because this is the nature of the world. Pleasures belong to the world. Ultimate bliss belongs to something which is of the transcendental realm, and that needs work to come into those states of bliss, to go beyond happiness and sadness and be in a certain state of equilibrium, or where a state where we studied in Yoga Sutra, happiness is replaced by happiness. It becomes like that. We studied that. So uh, so bliss is not unlimited happiness, but it is actually transcendence from both happiness and sadness. Does an enlightened being experience happiness and sadness? Yes, an enlightened being will also experience, if some. So Krishna is also hurt. He also feels bad. He also experiences unpleasant situations in his life, but he is not disturbed by it. That is the difference. It does not have any compulsive power on him. That is, they are able to maintain their samatva, a sense of balance. Now, uh, I think that's it. There's nothing more on this shloka. Matra sparsha, I explained. Uh, Matra is measure. Matra means to measure or to know. Um, it also refers to the instrument with which we sense. So our senses are matra and touching that sparsha. Patience, how do you treat impermanent things? Welcome them, let them stay, and then say goodbye to them. That is the guidance that Sri Ravi Shankar has given on this particular shloka. 15th verse. O Arjun, noblest amongst men, Purusha Rishabh, the noblest among men. That person who is not affected by happiness and distress and remains steady in both becomes eligible for liberation. So, this is what I was saying. So, that part within us, that aspect within us which experiences happiness, uh, will never be satisfied with small pleasure. If there is happiness, it wants this happiness to be infinite. Don't we all want it? If you're happy, I always want to be happy. I want it to be permanent. This situation must never change. Okay, and it has to be ever fresh. I want to be, every day I want to experience this kind of happiness, maybe through different objects. But this is what any soul, I'm using the word soul, longs for, that thing which is inside us. This is how Swami Mukundananda has explained it through the Bhakti commentary. And this is why they say longing for liberation is coded in us. That thing which experiences pleasure, that same thing within us wants liberation, because it will not be satisfied with small pleasures. Now, very important to understand what is real and what is unreal. Okay, in these, okay, 2.16, this is a very important verse in the Bhagavad Gita. So, chapter 2, in fact, in some senses, it's the most esoteric chapter. In some sense, it's all of the Gita, and the other chapters are expounding on it. Swami Sarvapriyananda has spent 1.5 hours only speaking on 16th verse of chapter 2. I'm going to spend 5 minutes from his commentary on that to give you the essence of what he is saying. But I will go with Osho's commentary because his explanations are less linguistic and less technical and more experience based. So 2.16 is considered as the central teaching of Advaita Vedanta. It's the theory of the self. You are none other than absolute reality. This is what is being told to you in this verse. He has said, when commenting on this shloka, that it is not so practical, it is more theory based and it's an approach from existence. Now, this is where, as yoga practitioners, and yoga being the practical school of Indian philosophy, we don't buy into theories alone. In fact, I can show you how to put this shloka into application based on studies that I have done with my teachers. So, we will look at that, okay? Why it is not just theory. Yes, there is esoteric knowledge here, but that knowledge is, I mean, it will become a burden if it is not practiced and there is no way to realize that knowledge. So, this shloka, nasato vidyate bhavo, na bhavo vidyate sataha, ubhayorapi drishtontas, dvanayostattvadarshibhihi. This is an important one, okay? So there are these list of 108 shlokas which in the Sanskrit channel Uday has given. If any of you are interested and you just want to learn those 108, like I don't know, but I've learned a few here and there. So, of the transient, there is no endurance, and of the eternal, there is no cessation. This has verily been observed by the seers of the truth after studying the nature of both. The 17th shloka says, that which pervades the entire body, know it to be indestructible. No one can cause the destruction of the imperishable soul. Now, see, what is Krishna trying to do here? This is called Sankhya Yoga. Arjun has spoken like a jnani, you know. He has spoken like that. He has given so many arguments as though he is a master of all the scriptures. Now he knows all this gyan only in an information based way. He knows this information, but it is not a realized truth. If it was a realized truth for him, he would be in the same consciousness as Krishna, but he is not. He is the one who is sitting under the tree and Krishna is sitting on top of the tree. You remember that example I gave you to explain, their different levels of consciousness, correct? That Krishna is sitting on top of the tree and his perspective is like he can see 10 kilometers on the right side, 10 kilometers on the left side, but Arjun can only see like 10 feet here, 10 feet there. That's all. So that is the difference. So Arjun is not really in that realized state, but he's talking like that. Now Krishna is speaking from that higher state of consciousness. So they say that, you know, Sankhya is like this kind of gyan, that the mere reminding somebody of this, they will come into gyan. There's nothing to do. And Vedanta is over. That is what even Swami Sarvapriyananda says. That, if Arjun could come into gyan by just remembering this, that's it. There is no need for further 17 chapters. Gita would be over here. But he does not understand because he is not in the same level of consciousness. So what's happening here? So Krishna is telling him, Ki Arjun, you are worried that these people will die. That is why you don't want to kill them. Please, you are dreaming, Arjun. This is not real. He's telling him this is not real. See what is real and what is unreal, and you will be comfortably able to go ahead with whatever it is that you must do as your dharma as a kshatriya. This is his whole point. And trying to explain this point, this is what Krishna explains to him. So, first, I'm going with Swami Sarvapriyananda's commentary, just explaining to you from the Vedanta perspective, just some technical terms, they keep coming all the time. So, there is something Brahman. Brahman is that which is. It's like the ocean is. Okay. Waves are an appearance. Water is. Waves contain the water, right? But there is that isness which always is. That is Brahman. Okay. It cannot be created, it cannot be destroyed. That is called reality. That is what Krishna says is real, and waves are unreal because they will come and go. Anything which comes and goes, which has a beginning and an end, that is not real. It is just an appearance. So waves are simply an appearance. Just like the waves, the world that is surrounding you, people that are surrounding you, all of this is just appearance. Don't miss. You are misunderstanding. This is unreal. You see the isness. This is very difficult. Okay, if someone comes and talks to us like this and says, see the isness, this is unreal. For us, the world is so real. Right now, I am in pain. My goodness, my pain is real. Don't tell me this is not real. Okay, this is this is where we are because we are not in Krishna consciousness. Krishna is speaking from a very high level. But because Arjun speaks like this, he is also trying that maybe, if this he's reminded of this knowledge, some gyan can rise in him and he can, like this, he can become liberated. And then and it's done. So he starts from the highest knowledge. So Swami Sarvapriyananda explains that everything has an intrinsic property and an incidental property. So, for example, he says, look at something called hot potato. Now, potato is not hot, potato simply is, but it can take heat from fire. So, heat is an intrinsic property of the fire, but hot potato is an incidental property that the potato takes because of the fire. There is no such thing as cold fire. Fire is hot. As long as it is hot. So it is intrinsic to that. Okay. So he explains like this. I'm just giving you a small, in a nutshell, what he's trying to say in that 1.5 hours. Okay. Similarly, a clay pot. The clay pot is taking clay. It's a clay pot is made of clay. So the clay is clay is intrinsic to the pot. Okay, it turns into a pot because it is taking the intrinsic property of clay and coming into it. But pot itself made of clay is incidental. It can be made of metal. It can be made of whatever. All right. So entities borrow existence. Existence does not belong to them. This is very interesting. So all this entity is borrowing an existence. A hot potato is borrowing heat from fire. A clay pot is borrowing its existence from clay. What is human being borrowing its existence from? Human being exists. There is something that we have heard, Atma and soul. Where is this Atma and soul? Atma and soul is coming also from. So there is borrowed existence. Okay, just you understand this idea of borrowed existence? It is not intrinsic to a particular entity. It is being borrowed from outside, right? Therefore, a clay pot will come into existence and it can get destroyed. A hot potato is hot right now. 5 hours later, it will become cold. Correct? So it has a beginning and it has an end. Just like a wave is borrowing its existence from the ocean, it is borrowing the water from the ocean. So it becomes a wave and it will go back into the ocean. Okay. So he explains this idea of intrinsic and incidental property. Now, the interesting thing he says is, and in this particular shloka, he has gone back to Adi Shankaracharya's original commentary and expounded from that. He's taken like step by step, whatever Adi Shankaracharya says on this shloka, he's taken it. He doesn't normally go into that detail, but for this shloka, he has done it. And he says, Adi Shankara says, there is such a thing which has existence as an intrinsic property, and that is you. So, see, heat is an incidental property to potato. Agreed? Correct? Heat is an incidental property to the potato, to the hot potato, to the hot potato. Correct? Is this statement true? Yes, Ratna? Yeah. So heat is an incidental property to the hot potato. After some time, it will become cold. So it is incidental. It is not intrinsic to it. It will not always remain. Adi Shankaracharya is making a very bold statement. He's saying that a human being has such a thing where existent itself is an intrinsic property to it, which means I will never be born and I will never be destroyed. Do you understand? Am I making sense? That I will never be born and be destroyed because every human being has existence itself as an intrinsic property. Is this statement making sense? Yes, Tejal? Yeah, okay. Now, that which is real never goes out of existence. Ocean is. Brahman is. It always will be. It is. Okay. So, this is this whole journey of who am I. So Adi Shankaracharya gives that path, no, neti, 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 not this, not this, not this, not this. And suddenly that which you are will get revealed to you. Okay. So this is the first aspect. Um, so there are entities which are borrowing existence and it is not intrinsic to them. Now, that which is cannot be destroyed. Okay. So there is this mention of every human being has a subtle body. It's like a chip. You want to call it whatever atma or something. It's a chip which travels from one life to next life. Okay, which is just moving, say, from one body to the next body. That is how uh, they have explained it. So whatever is created uh, and is destroyed is gross. Whatever is not created and not destroyed is subtle. Okay, this is how Krishna explains what is subtle. So subtle body is carrying our data and that is what is attracted to a certain womb. All right. And uh, so this is the core teaching of Vedanta. Brahma Satyam, Jagat Mithya. Everybody knows that Brahma Satyam. Only Brahman is real, and this Jagat, this world, this is just Mithya. World is just Maya. Okay. Now see, world is just Maya. I'm not much of an Advaita follower. I'm a Yoga Sutra practitioner, but a world is Maya. All right. Tomorrow, food is Maya. Let me take away your food and let me see how much Maya you believe in or you don't believe in. Okay. So be aware of that. Even Advaitans say that when you come into the practice of it, you cannot just dismiss it like that. You have to live with it. You have to explore. You have to start from the false to then find out what the truth is. So let's so now exploring this idea of Sat and Mithya Maya. So Sat is that. So right now, what we are trying to do is understand what is real and what is unreal, because Krishna is telling Arjun, why are you getting locked up in all this unreal stuff? Look at the reality and everything will become so easy for you. There will be no problem for you. Now, what is Sat? Sat is that which is real. In traditional Vedanta, this is again for technical and those of you who are slightly academically inclined, just for you. So, Sat is real. In traditional Vedanta, Asat is that which is unreal. Like we spoke, the son of a barren woman doesn't exist, a squarish circle doesn't exist. So, this Asat, they say, is unreal. Swami Sarvapriyananda says, between the real and the unreal, there is another layer which is called false. It is mithya. It appears to be, but it is not. And the example he gives us is a mirage. It looks like there is water, but it is not. So it appears to be, but is not. Now, while Swami Sarvapriyananda explains this, he also makes a mention that for the purpose of this shloka, even though in traditional Vedanta, a sat is considered as unreal, for the purpose of this shloka, a sat has been called as mithya. Okay? In this shloka, it has been called as mithya. This is their linguistics, whatever, based on the commentaries that he's following. Now, mithya is false. It is simply false. Now, how to differentiate between satya and mithya? That's the important thing. That is the whole point, and we're going to look at that. So, um, now everything he says, any experience that you have will have two components to it. We said no matra sparsha. There is a sense, a sense in us, and there is an object. There are two components. Okay, there are two. Let's just say these are two entities. So when I say, so my eye is looking at the screen and it says screen is, correct statement? Screen is. It's looking at this table and it says table is, phone is. So my eye is getting in contact with these objects. The objects keep changing. What is not changing? Is, correct? Where is the experience happening? It is happening in the lap of is. Do you see that? Do you see it? Does that make sense to you? I am right now looking at the computer, at the laptop, and I'm saying the laptop is in front of me. I look on the right side, the door is on my right side. There is a book on my left side. Book is, door is, laptop is, the different objects that my sense is noticing, correct? There is one underlying factor which is common to all the differing objects. Appearances is, what are the appearances? Laptop, one door, one book. But there is one thing which is common to all of them, which is the isness. Correct? Does that make sense? That isness is common to all. Okay. So this isness is what Swami Sarvapriyananda says is an unchanging experience. And he says that if you, instead of getting caught up in objects, if you start paying attention to isness, it is the doorway to Brahman. Vedanta is over here. It's, but see, if even if I'm talking to you, I have to emphasize that you notice is. Dekho, this is common in all the three sentences. And but everybody is, we are so identified with objects. Oh, the door, the book, oh, this is there. We are all caught up in the world and the worldly things. Correct? The same idea as I'm the body, I'm the mind. So it is the identification, and we miss the is. If someone, instead of looking at the object, starts looking at is, it will open the doorway to Brahman. That is what he says. And he says this will take you to Brahma Gyan straight away. And that's it. You don't need any more teaching. This is what Krishna is trying to do in this first, in the beginning itself with Arjun. Ki Arjun, if you really understand these scriptures, if you understand what you're saying, if this is not just information for you and genuinely something that you have realized, the moment I'm reminding you of it, you should know what reality is. And you should you should not have any problem and all this suffering and these questions which are rising in you. It should all be over. But Arjun does not come into Brahmagyan. He is also like us. We are also like him. We also don't understand the isness. We are all identified with objects. So objects changes, but isness pervades. Door of isness is the door to Brahmagyan. Okay, so that is from 1.5 hours with Swami Sarvapriyananda, but this is really the essence of it. This is what he is saying. And the 17th shloka, that which pervades the entire body, know it to be indestructible. No one can cause the destruction of the imperishable soul. So, see, um, yena sarvam idam tatam, by which all this is pervaded. If it pervades, why can't we see it, touch it, and know it? Isn't it? If it is pervading, if you are telling me that this whole, whatever this reality is, it exists inside me, it pervades me, why don't I know it? Why am I identified with objects? So, see, there are two approaches to this. One is the Sankhya Yoga. So, many of us are Yoga Sutra practitioners. We, everybody here understands what is dualist and non dualist. We are a very mixed group. So, so dualist is matter and consciousness. And dualists in the Yoga Sutra and Sankhya system say that matter is also real, consciousness is also real. There is a certain interaction that happens between these two which creates experiences. Okay. This is the dualistic approach from the Yoga Sankhya perspective. The second dualistic approach is there is me and there is my God. They are two. The world is real and I have a relationship with God. This is Bhakti Yoga, which is also dualistic. And we look at it when we get into chapter 7, but just so that you know. And there is Advaita, which is saying everything is one. Advaita, or the way the this they say that Maya is unreal. It is not real. But in Yoga Sutras, in the dualistic Sankhya philosophy, we are saying matter is real. Consciousness is also real. There is an interaction between them which creates experiences. Advaita says only Brahman is real. All of this is Maya. It is unreal. They call the world unreal. And honestly, I tell you, these are just, the more you look at it, this is just nomenclature, language, linguistic for academic purposes, just for you to know if you're reading this literature, just to give you clarity, I'm saying this. But focus more on experiencing this within yourself. Don't get overly caught up. Little bit of knowing is good because it helps the study and understanding. But beyond that, it's like bal ki khal nikalna. No need. Okay. Now, in this shloka, one exists, Brahman, the other one, world, Maya, is borrowed existence. So the world, they say, is all Maya, it is unreal because it is borrowing its existence from Brahman. So what about me? I'm not borrowed existence, correct? Because Adi Shankara said, you are the only one who has existence as an intrinsic property. So I am not part of this Maya. I'm not Maya. Why? So in the Vedanta system, this being, I am the Jiva. It's called the Jiva. Jiva is like, you imagine I'm the Jiva. I have just a little bit of Brahman has been captured inside me. Okay, I have captured Brahman. I have not borrowed existence. I have captured Brahman exists inside me. When the body falls off, it will merge back. How do they explain this? They say it's like electricity. You look at Brahman like electricity. It is everywhere. Okay. And I am a bulb. I have I have that electricity is continues to be even if the bulb fails or cracks, correct? Electricity is still there. The point is still there. It's just a matter of switching it on. This is how they explain it. So Jiva is real. Now, um, Now I will explain this how Osho explains, and I like his explanation. Is or is not real or unreal. So what is unreal? So Osho explains it like this. He says a sat is not non-existent. A sat, what you call as unreal, is not really non-existent. Is it really non-existent? So, Sadhguru has, I will tell you, usually what does not exist, we call it unreal, correct? What does not exist, we will call it unreal. But Osho says, what is the point of talking about it? What do you mean unreal? The son of a barren woman. Does it even make sense? I mean, what is the point of talking about it? It is absurd, isn't it? There is no point. So, unreal, when you speak of unreal, and this makes sense, why in this shloka they have considered asat as mithya. Remember, I told you traditional Vedanta says sat, asat, and mithya, but in this shloka they say mithya and asat are the same. Osho straight away says asat is not unreal, asat is not non existent. How do you understand this? A dream. So, Sadhguru says, no, the world is a dream. It is true. But the dream is real. Please think about this. The world is a dream. You can call it Maya, but for you, the dream is real. If I have a nightmare, there are physiological changes happening in my body. I can be sweating, I can wake up crying, I can be screaming. So the dream is real. So asat is not something which is non existent. You can't simply dismiss it as does not exist. For you, it exists till you wake up. The dream exists for all of us, but when does the dream break? Not by more understanding and intellectual debate. It finishes the moment you wake up. Oh, that was just a dream. Correct? Makes sense? Right. So let's look at this. So, usually, what does not exist, we are calling it unreal. We look at dream. We cannot say it does not exist. It is not possible for non existent to become dream. Correct? In some That's how he has explained it. So for us, the dream is real. Unreal, asat only appears. Okay, so this dream is also an appearance, but for us, in our experience, it is real. So if dream was non existent, if you say dream is non existent, it doesn't exist, then why did it have such a big physiological impact on you? So that means it exists, correct? There is some existence to that. So if dream is existence or non existence, well, it does exist. So So asat does not mean non-existent. Osho says asat is more like something which is not, but it appears to be. All right, we'll stay with this. Now, what is unreal? So he explores this further. He says unreal is in between the two, a reality that appears to be real but is not so. So, um, So the dream is real when it is on. But the moment you wake up, the dream is over, you have come into samadhi. Now, what is Krishna trying to do with Arjun in these shlokas? He is telling Arjun, wake up. Just wake up, Arjun. There's nothing more to do. Sankhya Yoga, the ancient form of Sankhya Yoga, is simply that. There is nothing to do. If you just are reminded of it, if there is simply a little bit of smriti, shruti, smaran aa gaya, sun liya, आप जाग जाएंगे. You will become the awakened one. He is hoping Arjun will become the awakened one by just listening to this. So now, in life, search for truth begins by recognizing the false. So that is step one. Recognize that it is false. That is what they are doing even in Advaita. Recognize that this is Maya. Okay. Now now under he Osho gives this example of reflection. He says the world is a reflecting medium. Okay, your reflection in the water exists, but you are not that reflection. True, my reflection in water exists, but I am not that reflection. I am somebody who is standing on the shore and I am real. And time is the medium of reflection. So anything which is reflected, it will be reflected for some time, it will pass away. It is time bound. Appearances are always time bound. Which is unreal is time bound. That which is real is not time bound. It always is. The isness pervades. So reflecting medium is necessary for reflection, but reflecting medium is not necessary for you to exist. Real stands on its banks. Okay. So Krishna is telling Arjun that see, happiness was there some time ago. Happiness will not be there after a few moments. So that is why it is unreal. And he says it is better for you to pay attention to what is real, what exists here now. It existed in the past and it will exist in the future rather than looking at all these appearances. Now, search for truth will begin by recognizing the false. Now, can we recognize the formless in the form? So, uh, see, look at this. What is our problem? Why can't we do what Krishna is asking us to do? That just recognize all this is unreal, just see what is real. But it's difficult, no? If somebody tells you to do that, why is it difficult? It is difficult because we live in a very identified state. We are all identified with objects. We are identified with our own mind and body. So, beautiful example Osho gives. He says, first, there is emptiness. Okay, there is just emptiness. You enclose that emptiness in four walls and it becomes a room. Okay, we start calling it room. Then, in that room, you will you will put some tables and chairs. You can remove a chair, you can add a chair. Okay, all of these objects can be put in that empty room. Now that room has a chair, it has a table. If you walk into that room and you are asked what is there, what will you say? You will say, oh, there are two chairs, there are three chairs, there's a table, there's a plant, there's a laptop, isn't it? What is there in the room? We will say, is this going to be our answer? How many of us are seeing the emptiness? None of us are seeing the emptiness, isn't it? If someone asks us what is in the room, we are not saying, oh, there is emptiness. But the meaning of room is roominess. But we don't see that. We see all of these objects. This is how we are identified. That is why when Krishna says, look at what is real, we can't get it. We can't get it. We can't see it. It mind plays tricks. So emptiness is enclosed in walls. Break the walls. Emptiness still is. Chair is not, but the isness continues. The emptiness continues. Ultimate reality is this: emptiness will not have any beginning or end. You can suppress emptiness. This is what is happening to all of us. We put so many objects inside emptiness that emptiness gets suppressed and then we are not able to notice it. So there is something very beautiful. So if there is emptiness, just emptiness, and I take away a little bit of emptiness from emptiness, what remains? Emptiness. Correct? If I take away a handful of emptiness from emptiness, emptiness remains. That means there is shunya. I take out shunya from shunya, shunya remains. That is why shunya is purna. Do you get it? Shunya and purna are not opposites, they are the same. So when Buddha says nirvana or shunya, it is the same as Adi Shankaracharya's fullness. They are just different ways of expressing the same experience. That is why, beyond a point, we should not do bal ki khal of linguistic, because language itself is dualistic. It will not take you. Come into the experience, work on the experience. If you read that last post which I shared from Osho, that if you're willing to give yourself, it is not just Arjun who could see this immense form of Krishna. Each one of us is eligible to see that form of Krishna. Stay with him, listen to him. Krishna should become a living reality in our. We should be able to download him. That should be the longing and the power in us, that I want to see you. I want to understand what you're saying. If that longing is strong and deep in you, I'm promising. We've done one round over 4 years. Some of us have had certain experiences with Bhagavad Gita and certain practices. It is something. You just give yourself to it. You ask him. You every night when you sleep, you tell yourself, I will sleep at the feet of Krishna. I am covered by a blanket of grace. And you call him and call him, and he will show up. Like he showed up for Arjun. Arjun asked him, I want to see it. I want to see your Vishwarup Darshan. He gave it to him. He can give it to you. You have the eligibility. So that is what Osho is, says that. So Shunya and Purna are the same. There is no way to escape. Okay. Um, so the reality about which experience does not change, that is real. So Krishna is trying to prevent Arjun from escaping. Because what is Arjun trying to escape from? See, from Krishna's perspective, Arjun is trying to escape from a dream. Is there any escaping from a dream? How foolish. He's telling him, wake up, Arjun, just see what is real. You don't have to run away. That is what he's trying to tell him. So he's trying to turn him into opposite direction. Now we'll speak a little bit on what is a sannyasi. You don't become a sannyasi by running away from the world, but by waking up to it. This is the new definition of sannyas that Krishna gives. So those of you who've done Yoga Sutra know this, but I will quickly say this, share this again for the benefit of others. So see, there is a householder who is running after money. He is very happy. I have whatever, 3 lakh bank balance. I'm so happy with it. Okay. There is somebody who renounced the world, who renounced his household and became a monk. And he goes and tells other monks, I renounced 3 lakhs. I left it all like that and I came and became a monk. Do you notice that both these people are attached to what? 3 lakh rupees. Both this is not sannyas. Sannyas means it's not about renouncing objects or running away from what surrounds you. It is a state of being. It is about living in the world, living in the marketplace, but not being compelled by it. So, Krishna's sannyas is all about acceptance. Please read the latest post that I put on the group chat. It's a very long post, but it will touch. If Krishna and Bhagavad Gita is throbbing in your heart, if it's like, I want to know, and if you have a little madness in you, it will touch your heart. It is so beautifully said by Osho, and we are studying with him. See, I'm bringing a lot of it while I'm bringing other commentators wherever I find relevance. Really, we are all just studying with Osho, and very nice to hear this from a master directly. Now, um, so So you're not going to become a sannyasi by running away from it, but by waking up to it. That which exists in all states of consciousness is real. Okay, yeah. So this is Krishna's sannyas. A man does not become a true sannyasi if he escapes from the world. Only a man who becomes awakened in the midst of this world is a true sannyasi. Buddha was like this. He came back to the world. He left it, whatever he wanted to find his answers. But once that happened, he was back in the world. In whichever way he was passing, he was sharing those teachings. He was not compelled by it anymore. All right. Now, so how are we going to do this? See, one of the things is that even in our meditation, see, meditation means to create a distance between who you are and what surrounds you. Essentially, this is what meditation is. Why do we say meditation is a stress buster? Because it helps you create a little bit of distance. Normally, you feel everything is just like falling on me, like an avalanche. So, when we do our meditation practices, it helps us to create a little bit of separation. Now, in many meditation practices, when we are asked to visualize or whatever, we begin to superimpose, we begin to imagine. And those of you who have been initiated by Sadhguru, he's very, uh, he says it, don't imagine anything. Okay. I don't want you to imagine, just be with the process. So there is this story, Osho gives from his real life. He says that there was this whatever, there was this friend of his who brought a fakir to his ashram, and he said, Osho, I wanted to introduce you to him. This man says that he can see God everywhere. He has been practicing for the last 30 years. So Osho like bows down to him. He said, that's really, really wonderful, and offers his respects. And he says, I would like to ask something of you, that you have done this practice for 30 years. For 3 days, you just drop it. If you can see God in all, you should be able to see God in all, even if you stop the practice. So that fakir agrees. The very next day, he comes to Osho crying, saying, what have you done to me? My 30 years of practice you have ruined. So That's when Osho tells him, what you were doing was superimposing. You are imagining God is stuck on this pillar. Now that you are not doing the practice, suddenly the pillar is pillar, it's not God anymore. So it will not come by superimposing. Our experience of God is a revelation. It's like a revelation, you know. You are, and this can happen sometimes in certain meditations where you are not visualizing, imagining, or superimposing God or imagining His thing. You are simply sitting and the vision comes up. It is rare, but it can happen. Like for Paramhans Yogananda, he had a vision of his guru. It was just revealed to him. So, this is something which Osho warns the practitioner against. Do not superimpose. Don't work like that. God will not happen. How should I see God and all? Not by imposing it. It is a revelation that rises in you through through certain practices. And here's a practice tool. So I'm very big on practices. I don't think, even though Krishna is about no sadhana, it is okay for someone like Krishna to be without no sadhana. Where we are, we all need sadhana. We are not in Krishna consciousness yet. So till we are there, let's do our sadhana. When we reach there, you can drop all sadhana. So one of the practices here we are speaking of, so right now there is a reality that surrounds Arjun, which he thinks is real and not unreal. Those of you who did Yoga Sutra, we spoke about the seer and the seen. If there are people here who are academically inclined, who like to study and learn, there is a beautiful 6 sessions of talk on the seer and seen. I think it's called Aparoksh Anubhuti by Swami Sarvapriyananda. I will share it on our group chat. It is brilliant. How Swami Sarvapriyananda has explained it is so beautiful, and it is really the crux also of Yoga Sutra. That which is the seer and that which is seen are two different things. Okay, so let's look at this practice. This man is in the forest. So I will quickly say, who is the seer here? The seer, or that aspect of existence which always is this man. Okay, what surrounds him? The forest. Correct? Just keep giving me a thumbs up. Okay, this is one. So this is a daily practice that all of us should do. Keep separating the seer from the seen. Keep bringing this into your awareness. This is an awareness practice. This is the seer, this is the seen. So slowly you will start seeing that I'm not so stuck with that which surrounds me. This is a little bit far away. This is outside of me. Then if you look at this dancer is dancing. So let's call this dancer as the seer. What is the scene? Her own hand movements can be the scene. The audience can be the scene. Correct? But even her own hand movements and she's dancing, that is also the scene. That is also something which surrounds her. Then there is this monk. What is the seer and the scene here? So the monk is the seer and his eyes are closed. So what is the scene? What is the scenery here? The scenery is his own thoughts. Even his thoughts are surrounding him. So even your thoughts are not real. It is that which surrounds you because you are capable of observing it. Anything which can turn into an object of observation is not real, isn't it? If anything turns into an object of, if I can observe my thoughts, how can my thoughts be real? The real must be that which is observing it, isn't it? Correct? Only that which is observing it will be real. If it can be observed, it is just an object. And objects are not real, they are unreal. So his thoughts, his breath is also unreal. It is also surrounding him. He is the seer. So keep doing this practice from time to time, whatever, wherever you are, in the middle of a meeting, as part of, just a 5 minute sitting, and see what surrounds you, what kinds of thoughts are surrounding you. This is really one of the awareness practices that is given in Yoga Sutra. So when Swami Sarvapriyananda says 2.16 is a theory based sutra, people like us who follow Yoga Sutras, we do not agree because it is practical, it can be practiced, there is a way. Start by removing that which is false. This is false, this is mithya, but recognizing that this is what surrounds me. We do not dismiss it. Yoga Sutras does not dismiss matter or world. All right. Now the body and the soul. So 2.18. Only the material body is perishable. The embodied soul within is indestructible, immeasurable, and eternal. Therefore, fight, O descendant of Bharat. Can you hear Krishna? Can you really hear him here? Krishna is saying, listen, this material body is perishable. Inside this, there is a soul which is indestructible, immeasurable, eternal. Go fight, Arjun. You are the descendant of Bharat. Don't be a pansy. He's literally calling him a pansy. There is a word that he uses, which I forget, Swami Chinmayananda mentions. He says it's like not even a woman. It's like, he's calling him a pansy. You've just sat down. How he's really provoking his ego there. He's telling him, go fight. Neither of them is a knowledge. The one who believes the soul can slay, and the one who believes the soul can be slain. For truly the soul neither kills nor can it be killed. All right. So, how do we know the soul? How to know the soul? Um, Swami Sarvapriyananda says, a simple question. He says, Agyan ko pratishtha mat do, agyan ko kato. That is what he says. He says, this is a mix up which happens when you are born with ignorance. This is how it is. So you have to begin by cutting the ignorance. That is the way it will happen. How did this happen? Why? What? No, we are all born ignorant. This is how it is. So we have to get out of this mix up. Now, see, what happens is that people keep reading scriptures to understand and to rise above ignorance. Okay, all of us are doing that. We are all guilty of it. I'm very, very guilty of it. I love reading all this. But if you keep reading, if you keep repeating, you keep chanting, and you've done this for 15, 20 years, of course I know all this. Someone comes and speaks a little bit of sat asat to you. You say, of course I know this. I've read all this. I know it. We go into this I know zone, isn't it? Because we keep repeating and we have read it so many times, we start believing I actually know it. But this is a self deception because you don't really know it. It's just having read it so many times and repeated it starts. ओशो बोलते हैं आपको भ्रम होने लगता है कि आपको आ गया आपको आता कुछ नहीं है इट्स अ भ्रम इट्स अ डिल्यूजन we start deluding ourselves. He says it's like this, you know swimming. Swimming. I want to know swimming. I'm ignorant about swimming. So I research on swimming. I read 20 books on swimming. Wow. I even practice swimming on my bed, move the right arm like this, kick the left leg like this. And this is how you get the butterfly stroke. And I am doing all this swimming. 20 years I spent researching swimming. And you are somebody who is a boatman who has been with the water, and you are coming and telling me what is swimming, never read a book. Who are you to tell me what swimming is? I can write a PhD thesis on swimming. Take me and throw me in water and I will drown. What swimming do I know? So that is the test of what do you really know. It comes down to experience. Okay. So this is very important. We all start believing we know, but we don't really know. So watch it. Okay. Just watch. We all have this tendency. I notice this in myself also, this tendency to think, oh, I know that. And then I catch myself, no, listen, wait, what else is there? Because knowing only happens through experience. See, I give this example, Sadhguru's example. I give this in Yoga Sutra. These are do I have 5 fingers, okay? Do I believe this or do I know this? I don't have to believe I have 5 fingers, correct? I see it. It is in front of me. You don't have to tell me. This is knowing when it is right in front of you. But to know by believing, oh, I've read this, so I believe it's like this, it doesn't work. Okay. So knowing and believing are two different things. Experience is very important to understanding and to knowing. It is not going to happen through research and more intellectual exploration. And we all are intellectually inclined. That is why we are all very here. That is why this sutra, especially for people like us who just love to read, understand. It's good, but don't forget the sadhana which goes with it, because sadhana is what will bring the experience. So to know something, we always begin with I don't know, because what you know is always this much, what you don't know is so big. So always beginning with I don't know. Like my teacher used to say, he says, yeah, you've done trikonasana so many times, and the moment he said trikonasana and we were all into trikonasana, and he would say, no, today you do trikonasana like you've never done it before. and feel your way into it. And it's true, every asana feels different at different times. So, going further, O part, how can one know the soul to be imperishable, eternal, unborn, and immutable, kill anyone or cause to kill? So, see, this is something which is very important to understand. Mm. See, Arjun keeps saying no that it is wrong. He keeps dividing things into right or wrong. That these people, these Kauravas, are doing wrong thing. Why should I also become like them, and do something wrong? He's talking ethics, but Osho, and you have to understand this. You know, it's delicate and it's subtle. Ethics is something which belongs to society. It belongs to the dimension of society. It is ethical in some society. It is not considered wrong if a daughter-in-law goes and just hugs her father-in-law. It is considered very, I mean, it is very normal. In fact, it is an expression of love. You go to traditional conservative Indian family. A daughter-in-law does not go. We go, we touch the feet of the father-in-law. It will be considered immoral. Can you imagine in a traditional conservative village of India? This does not happen. It will be considered wrong. So what is moral in one society can be immoral in another society. Wearing a short skirt, walking around in certain places can be moral in some, it will be considered immoral in others. So Arjun is still in the dimension of morality, and he's talking of those kind of ethics. It will be right, it will be wrong, but Krishna is saying something else. Now, so when Arjun, so the world is unreal, and remember we spoke of what is real, what is unreal, that all these people, this war, Krishna is telling him is all this is unreal. So when he's speaking of right and wrong and ethics, remember all this also belongs to unreal. Does that make sense? His arguments belong to the dimension of unreal. So Krishna says those arguments don't hold any water because they are all unreal. So what is the problem? Um, so he's telling that you are troubled by what is unreal. Now, the dream is real. Morality is just a functional arrangement in our society. Now, see, before I go any further, Krishna says to Arjun, no, go fight Arjun. You know, the previous shloka, he says, go fight. What are you doing? Nobody dies. So people like Gandhiji, they had a huge problem with this. They said Mahabharata is like a myth, and Gandhiji, Osho has said that he considered this to be an allegorical tale of good versus evil. For him to accept that Krishna says categorically to Arjun to go fight was unacceptable. You know, it is so he has understood it like an allegorical tale of good versus evil, almost like a metaphor. Okay, the whole war of Mahabharata was just it's like a metaphor. This is how he describes it. Okay, just for you to know. The Jainis had a problem with it also because Krishna urging violence, go fight. So but see, they are all speaking from this dimension of unreal. Now understand this. Osho says, see, someone can try to kill a person with a knife. Okay, someone is trying to save the same person. Both people are dreaming. One is trying to kill someone, one is trying to save someone. Both are dreaming, both are in the dimension of unreal. Does that statement make sense to you? Yes? Varsha, making sense? All right. Now, if I had a choice in my dream, I will make a virtuous choice. No, I will protect, I will save. Why will I kill somebody? Correct? Arjun is making a virtuous choice. He's choosing a virtuous dream. He's still unreal. He's choosing a virtuous dream and saying, see, I'm choosing something right. So you should support me, Krishna. Why you telling me to fight? Why you not letting me escape? I'm choosing something which is right. Krishna is telling it's not about right and wrong. Both are unreal. They are both dreams. So, sorry. Uh, see, so there is this idea. Krishna is not talking violence. good and bad are part of the same dream. Do you understand? So people who say that Krishna is urging him to fight, yes, he is urging him to follow his dharma, but he is not speaking from the dimension that people have reduced Krishna to. Most people, we are not in Krishna's dimension, in his consciousness. So many interpretations, that is why I'll honestly tell you, I've read some interpretations, I find them banal. Like, what are you? I mean, even I could, this is like just words interpretation. Some of them are fan. Swami Sarvapriyananda's is very good. Sri Sri's very nice. Osho's is the best. But really, because you have to be in that state of consciousness to understand what this man is saying. Like when I studied Yoga Sutras, my teacher who taught me, he said that you can understand Yoga Sutras from only someone who is commenting on Yoga Sutras who is already in Maharishi Patanjali's state of consciousness. If you are below his consciousness and you are trying to interpret Yoga Sutra, it is your interpretation, it is your experiences. You are not in his state of consciousness, you don't understand. That is why even Gandhiji's understanding is limited. He was not in a transcendental state. A good man, a nice man, all of that, I'm not denying any of that, but it is not transcendental state. So that is something which we must remember. So Krishna is not speaking about violence. He's saying this is just a dream. Go ahead. It is unreal. You're identified with what is unreal. So, see, it's like when Mahavir walks, in Jainism, he will not even walk on an ant. Now, uh, it is not that if Mahavir does not step on the ant will never die. The ant will die sooner or later. That is the nature. Uh, But Mahavir's intention that I don't want to kill, the feeling that lies behind it is very valuable. You understand? See, understand something. This is something very important which I learned more recently, or maybe it got reinforced. No action can be pure. Whatever you do, action can never be pure. You go with the best of intention to your friend to do something, and still you get misunderstood, and you're wondering, what the hell just happened? You go with the best intention to do something for your child, and still there are repercussions, or there are situations which turn unpleasant, and you don't understand that I did with the best of intention, my action was good, why is everything going wrong? So understand, action can never be pure, only intention can be pure, and only intention counts. Hanumanji also kills so many people, but he kills from the intention of his devotion to Ram. His devotion and his intention is what is valuable, just like Mahavir's intention. Even if he works, yes, he tries his best, yet some ant will get killed. But he covers his mouth that no germ goes inside his mouth. He wants to protect. His feeling is very valuable. His intention is very valuable. Whatever you do, in the very act of living, violence happens, no matter how non-violent and non-harming you want to be. So this is something that we need to understand. We need to see that the savior and the killer are just dreaming opposite dreams. And Krishna does not tell Arjun, try to understand. He's not giving him intellectual things about the evil person's dreams. He's not giving him any explanations. He's just telling this is unreal, Arjun. So, okay, just for you to know, we are on verse 22, 21. Verse 21 to 23, Swami Sarvapriyananda has mentioned it is chanted when someone dies, especially verse 21 to 23, because it speaks about the soul and how the soul always lives on. So, the subtle body, when it leaves the physical body, is still around. The bioplasma is still around. So, se shanti milti hai. So this is just for you to know. One was verse 2.7, which we did, which we as students, as disciples should learn, should chant. And this is 21 to 23, which is chanted when someone dies. Okay, so I just wanted to share that piece of information. And moving on, we have time, 9:35. Okay, uh, we have, so death is impossible, right? It is just that, I explained that death does not happen. Life simply slips out of the body. So the bulb goes off, but the electricity always is. It's like somebody, presses the switch. So the bulb goes off, but the electricity is continuing. If you put the switch on, the electricity will be back into the bulb. Got it? So death is unreal. Life is. Okay. Life always is. Then so this is for those of you who are interested, who want to understand more about the subtle body, about death. How does a subtle body find a womb? If you're interested, you can look at these two books. I have the death book as a PDF copy. If any of you are interested in the death book as a PDF copy, let me know and I will share it with you. Sadhguru has explained it very nicely. He has also shared what you can do for someone if someone dies in your family, certain things. And a lot of things he has also mentioned, and how you can live so that the process of death and the transition for you is smooth, because there is no such thing as death. You just move, you're going to slip out of this body. So at that time, you're the most vulnerable. So what are the processes that can be done? He also speaks about processes that are offered at Isha for people who have passed away, which can it brings shanti to them. So 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 what Nazis did was okay. Krishna says go fight, so Nazi also go fight, kill. Is it all okay? No. No one dies, let's go and kill everybody. So that's a very shallow understanding. That's not what he is saying. No one dies does not mean that the desire to kill is okay. Hitler came from a place of destruction. He wanted to destroy. His desire was to kill. He understand something. Arjun is a kshatriya. He's a hot-blooded guy. Okay, he's a kshatriya. If Krishna just wanted him to fight, okay, he didn't have to give him this esoteric gyan, the highest knowledge. He would, all he needed to do was to tell Krishna, Arjun, you forgot what they did to Draupadi? Can you remember what happened in the court that day? How they dragged Draupadi? What Dhritarashtra did to? Nobody stood by your wife and you are willing to run away? This would have been enough to, pump him up. He would have forgotten, and with absolute anger and aggression, he would have fought. Isn't it true? He's a Kshatriya blood. This is how Kshatriya is a fighter. But Krishna does not do that. He does not instigate passion in him. He tries to give him gyan, and he hopes that from a place of gyan, he will make the he will make the decision. He will choose dharma. That is what. So Krishna could have ignited Arjun's passion, but so see, the purpose of non-violence is not just to keep saving lives. It is not possible. The purpose of non-violence is a sense of protection that comes from joy in protecting others. That is the purpose of non-violence. Okay, so we make people who make Gita too much about violence, non-violence. These are some perspectives on it. There is no delight that is happening in killing and destruction. That is not what how Krishna is instigating Arjun. The sin is not in the occurrence of violence, but in committing of the violence. Does that make sense? When it is done for sheer pleasure, vengeance, revenge. I want to kill you. It's like how Bhim, I will kill you, take your blood out and soak, Draupadi's hair in your blood. That is like real, just passion, pure passion. That is not what Krishna is saying. Are we very clear on this? We are never going to agree. We don't agree with people who are saying Krishna is instigating him to violence. Krishna never instigates him to violence. That's not what he is doing. Okay, so this is something which we have to be very clear of, and understand the arguments. If he wanted to do that, he could have turned him passionate. That's all. He's not doing that. And understand what violence means and what non-violence means. Oh, okay. This is a very cute story. Let me just do this. So, see, it is not coming from a place of sin, is when you are committing violence, when you're coming from that place of aggression. Do we have how many questions do we have? We have 5 minutes. Not urgent. Okay. So, all right. So, fine. Then I'll continue, Pooja, and I'll take the question. Okay. 5, 7 minutes. So, See, when people like Krishna speak from a very high level of consciousness, so there are mystics like Kabir who were also in this state of consciousness. There's a very cute story that Osho shares to help us understand what is sin, what creates sin. You know, Arjun keeps saying, na, paap ho jayega. Sin hai ye to. Krishna is not speaking about sin. So there is a story. This is a real story from his life. At least Osho quotes it. He says that Kabir used to have all these people who would come to his house, and he would love to feed them. So he would tell his wife, cook this, cook that. They kept borrowing. They were on loan, and they would keep taking on credit. They would keep taking from the shopkeeper, and they had so much credit, they had no way to pay him back. So then Kabir's son Kamal, he gets very upset with his father. He says, "What is this? You keep calling people. We have to cook. We don't even have food. We have no way of paying back. What do you want me to do? Go and steal?" So Kabir says, "Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Maybe you can go and steal." So Kamal, his son, is like, "Really? You want me to go and steal? Okay, tonight I will go and steal. Will you accompany me?" So Kabir says, "Okay, I will accompany you." So when night comes, Kabir says, "Okay." Kamal says, "Okay, let's go. We have to go. We have to get some food tomorrow. Again, you will have people in the house, and we can't afford it." So Kabir goes with him. They go to this wealthy man's house. They enter his kitchen stealthily. They pack up things from the granary, and the guy is still sleeping. And then Kamal comes and very softly he whispers, "Okay, we can leave now. I have packed everything before they wake up. Let's get out of this house." And suddenly it strikes Kabir. He says, "Oh no, but go and tell them that we are taking all these things from their kitchen." So Kamal says, "How can I tell them? Then that will not be stealing, na? I have to take this without telling them." He says, "No, you must go and tell them. It didn't strike me that we are stealing. That will be a sin. Taking this from them without telling them will be a sin." He says, "For me, I don't have any sense of belonging. I see everything as one. Till you just said that let's go, otherwise we will wake them, it didn't even strike me that they were the other. But now it struck me they are the other. So you please go and tell them that we are taking this thing." This what creates sin is when you start thinking of someone as the other, as separate. Ego creates sin. We have spoken enough of Arjun living in the dimension of ego. In the dimension of ego, there is pap and punya, there is right and wrong. But in Krishna's dimension, in the dimension where these mystics live, there is no such thing. Everything is one. It's all either, so Krishna's ways, या तो सबको अपना बना लो या you like Buddha become nothing. Either become purna or become full. That is the only way to exist. And that takes work. And don't think this is not possible for all of us. We have people here who are sadhaks, who are fired about sadhana. This should happen to us in this lifetime. And don't think of Gita as like just another text, a storybook you're reading. This should be a reality for us in this lifetime. We should come into that state of consciousness. And I know many people here who very regularly practice. So what is sin? You commit a sin only when you feel separate from the other. And Kabir says, I don't see any separation. So I think I got one more slide. And okay, we'll take this next time. uh, it's 9:45. So, okay, as a person sheds worn out garments and wears new ones, likewise at the time of death, the soul casts off its worn out body and enters a new one. So, see, we are all identified, no? So, if I say, "This shirt is mine," you will all say yes. If I say, "I am this shirt," you will say, "Swati, that is an absurd statement." But this is how we are. We all think everything on us. This is how we are with our body. If I say, "This body is mine," you will say yes. If I say, "I am this body," many of you will be confused. You will say, "Yeah, you are this body." No, that is as good as saying, "I am this shirt." Understand this difference, okay? Saying "I am this body" or "I am this shirt" is the same thing. So we all have this identification of with our body. The subtle body is the place where everything is getting experienced. All our experiences are happening there. So Osho gives this example of a soldier, this soldier whose leg was amputated. And when he regained his consciousness and the nurse came, He said, my toe is hurting. So the nurse is like, how can you say that? That's not possible. He said, no, I'm feeling a lot of pain in my right toe. So she removed the sheet and she showed him that your leg is amputated, the right leg is amputated. How can you feel pain in the right toe? But this is the subtle body. The subtle body is where all experiences are happening, and it doesn't leave you so easily. That is why, even when a person dies, for some time, we have those 13 days, the processes happen, because that is the time the bioplasma still hangs around with the body. It is so connected to it. So these are some of the things that Osho has spoken of in these verses. Um, I think this is okay. 20. Okay, we will get into this next time, and let's look at anything that you have to say. So chat, not urgent. Same as titikshasva is khanti in Pali, which is tolerance, which is a parmi, that is good virtue that will help one walk towards enlightenment according to Buddha. Thanks. So, so Pooja has been into Buddhism for a very long time. I was mentioning last time she's one of our very solid practitioners. Really, very intense and strong sadhana she has, and wonderful to have her with us because again, she's sharing both from her study as well as experience. So she studied also a lot, and spends a lot of time in vipassana. 20 days, 30 days she goes for vipassana practices. So very, very advanced practitioner. And Pooja has been into this, like, from her school days. Pooja, yeah, from her school days, when it was like S of spirituality had not even happened to me. It happened to me at somewhere age 30 plus. So Pooja has been into this. Even as a kid, she was very drawn to it. So, yeah, so Parmi is like one of those virtues, just like our Maitri Karuna. Yes, Titiksha, that was a thing for me to learn. Patience and tolerance is a very important thing. Yes, bad things will happen, unpleasant things will happen. Don't worry about it. Like Shri Shri says, he says, welcome, stay, they will also go. Just like the good things went away, happiness went away, this will also go away. So just remember, this too shall pass. Okay. Anything else? Anybody else? Any thoughts, comments? What's going on in your mind? Where are you with the study? How is it uh, happening for you? Any practices you're doing? Anything you want to share?
So one of the channels, Swati, is a Telegram channel. There is a Hindi, Osho Hindi channel. There's the
Yeah.
Gita Sar, because the
Mm.
sort of essence of the thing. I mean, not the whole lectures. Each chapter is like 10 hours, but Gita Sar is pretty interesting actually. Just first 2 or 3 hours I've listened, and very good synopsis of all the chapters.
Yes. Very nice. Huh? Oshoka, yeah, for one chapter, he will speak up to 20 hours. So if you can listen to his star also, बहुत. It is such deep understanding. It is, yeah. Only thing is, Osho is in Hindi, and if you are okay with Hindi, then listen to him. Listening straight to the master is a different thing.
His Hindi actually is much better than his English.
Yes,
He is this obviously like his Hindi is super rich Hindi.
very beautiful. वो खुद भी बोलते हैं that certain things मैं अपनी मातृभाषा में ही बोलूंगा. And yeah, he's बहुत ही रसीली हिंदी है उनकी.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Funny
that's
too
true.
at times.
Mm. Thank you, Manish. Anybody else? Anything?
Swati, so I just wanted to again just clarify. I'm learning so much from this. So with real and unreal, it's like to me what I understood is that you like you said unreal also is exists. So it's almost like black and white. Like in order to know white, black must exist. Like in order to know what the real is, you have to be aware of the unreal. Is that what it means that the
Yes,
awareness is important to understand one? You have to understand the other, only then will you understand the first
yes,
one.
yes, in some way. So whenever you think of unreal, remember the dream. So see, so why liberation? Why does this happen? Because So, I think Swami Sarvapriyananda has given this story. He says, so God was alone, God created himself, okay, perfect, isness, okay. But now he was bored, so he created a copycat of himself. And the copycat forgot that he was God. So now he is in search of who is God. So that is unreal. And when he finds, then he finds God himself. Then he finds that it is he himself. You are right. So it is only, so the dream exists so that you can wake up from the dream and realize what is real. You have put it as black and white in your own way of understanding, but what you're saying is right. Yes, that false exists so that you can wake up to the real, for the thrill and the experience of the real. See,
I feel like that's the complete set, because if you didn't have the Unreal, then that's not the complete set. I don't know if
correct.
I'm
Then what is
understanding.
there to experience?
Right.
See, if you didn't have Unreal, then it's like God is, everything is, life is boring. It is just this. So to come into that experience, this happened. So they give this example of there's a fish in water, okay, and the fish in water does not know what water is, okay. It keeps searching, it keeps asking the mother fish. It has read books, stories, theories, but it does not know what water is, but it is always inside the water. One day, the fish is thrown outside the water, and that day it understands what water is. So, if that is what you are understanding, then what you're understanding is right.
Right. And also that the thing about Mahavir didn't want to step on the ant because his intention, but when Arjun doesn't want to kill his people because his intention is only, it's because they're his relatives, he doesn't want to kill them. That's not his real intention, that he doesn't want to kill in general. It's just because they
Correct.
were related to him,
Correct.
his intention was. But Mahavir
Correct.
in general does not want to kill anybody.
Correct.
So that is what differentiates the intention
Correct.
versus that. All right. I just
So
wanted to
Mahavir,
clarify.
Mahavir and Buddha don't have any violence in them. Uh, for Arjun, only this battle is a problem. Any other battle will be okay. He'll go ahead. He'll be violent. Then he'll not give you all those arguments. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Anything else?
So that interesting story today was about Mahavir. He was a Kshatriya,
Hmm.
and then did the non-violence. So all the followers, they were Kshatriyas, they also became non-violent. So they laid down their swords. And obviously, Osho was saying that they also couldn't do farming because they have to hurt the insects and everything. So all became Vaishyas doing business. And that's how they became the richest community in the country. And money is not, even though a lot of blood has been spilled behind money, but it looks clean. So he said that human cunning was they're able to side skirt the principles of non-violence and get
Yeah.
money through that.
Yeah. Yes. I've heard that. I've heard Osho. That's true. समझाते हैं Osho. He explains that. Yeah.
Swati, just a thought, about you mentioned Mahatma Gandhi and Ahimsa. I think there are some parallels there. Mahatma Gandhi placed a lot of emphasis on acting from a place of ahimsa. So I think it was the outside manifestation was an extension of operating from a place of love and not from hatred or violence, which is kind of what similar to Gita too. I mean, yes, you have to commit violence, but you operate from a place of equanimity and poise. You don't act out of hatred or anger or jealousy, which is what Mahatma Gandhi also said. You don't resist the British because you hate them, but you operate from a place of non-violence, and that was the basis of ahimsa. So I think they were kind of more or less talking about the same things, different eras, different circumstances, different context. But at the end of the day, it's not what you do; it's why you do it, right?
Uh, it's not what you do, why you do it. Intention is important, correct. Mahatma Gandhi also, working from a place of non-violence, of love, because you should not hurt, may also be correct. I don't know much about, I've not read so much on Gandhi, but Mahatma Gandhi having trouble with Krishna urging Arjun to fight is also true. He was
Okay,
unable to
that I'm not
accept
aware
that.
of, but yeah, I'm just trying
Yeah.
to understand. Yeah, because
Yeah, that
everybody's
may be true.
interpretation is so
But
different. Yeah.
yeah, but Osho says, Osho says that he had a problem with it. That's why he looks at it like a metaphor and an allegorical tale. And it was difficult for him to come to terms with it. The moralists had such a big, they say when Gita was translated in English and went to the West, the moralists had such a difficult time accepting that a man, Krishna, is saying it's okay to be violent, because they don't, because this dimension of real and unreal, this the highest level of consciousness, they are not there. So it's difficult to understand. That is why Osho says often that Krishna is so total, it is difficult to understand Krishna. And you can find contradiction, but if you, but then, there is also a way that you get aligned to him as you go through the Gita. So, yeah, anything else? We're good. Okay, let's take the closing mantra. Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. Thank you very much. Namaste. Bonnie, is it making sense? So Bonnie is not
Yes,
from
it
the
is. It is.
That's nice, Bonnie. So Bonnie is not from the Indian tradition. She went through the whole cartoon of Mahabharat to first get the background, and then she questioned me. Swati, did that guy actually like kill the Shasas, soak his, Draupadi's hair in the Shasan's blood? And I was like, yeah, that happened. So, okay, that's great, Bonnie. Thank you very much, everyone. Good
Thank you,
night.
Swati.
Thank you, Swati.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you.
Thank you, Swati. Good night.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye. Good night. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye, Monica. Bye, Harishma.
Hi, Swati. Hope you're doing well.